And welcome back to PSA TV. This is the Wake Up Call. On set, I've got with me, he is no stranger to our studios, of course, an activist slash writer. Just two of the portfolios he holds. Dr. Wayne Kublalsingh, good morning to you.
Morning, Miss. How are you?
Not too bad, and how are yourself?
I'm good, thanks.
All right, it's a long journey up from South this morning.
No, I'm not living in South. I live in Dabadee.
You live Dabadee?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been living in Dabadee for about 35 years now.
Really?
Yeah,
Why?
but people from South call me to do
Well,
the mischief when I go to mischief and come back home.
No, I think you have the pleasantries like this, Satana. Not saying anything, of course. You would have been hearing our conversation previously about a possible staff regularization at the CDE. Now, this is just one of the many possible retrenchments, or I'm not going to say retrenchment, but it's probably headed that direction. Who knows? What are your thoughts on the manner in which, or the rate in which we've had so many instances of retrenchments in the country of late? We've got UTT impending, Unilever as well, and now this. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, it's a trend that is going to continue because the government's economy is busting. Mm-hmm. And the Minister of Finance is struggling every month to make sure he gets enough money to pay public servants, pensioners.
But yet still the public
and
servants.
Once he gets just about that, but that will continue because the government can no longer sustain our economy because of a lot of large global forces, the introduction of China into the global economy, shortage of gas revenue. And so that is a trend that will continue, and I think that trade union leaders, Mr. Duke, they have to take a very progressive, informed and educated position on how to educate and how to get out of this phase of dependence on government for revenue, because this is not going to be a short-term thing, it's going to be a very long-term thing. Government's economy is busting. If you look at WASA, if you look at Petrotrin, if you look at TNTech, if you look at a lot of these state corporations, they're busting. And we can no longer rely on government to support us, and therefore we need a new agenda for working class sustainability.
What do you propose? What are some of your suggestions?
You need to have very large-scale interventions, and I am afraid that the two political parties cannot do it. They do not have the imagination, they do not have the capacity, and I'm afraid, and I have to say this, they do not have the moral capacity either. Yeah. And something has happened in court. We are taking the government to court on the matter. I don't want to talk too much about it.
Yeah.
But it was clearly revealed to me that Dr. Rowley has been very deceptive to us. When the David to Montezeri Highway collapsed, and I'm talking in very general terms, mm-hmm. they went to England to get an arbitration because $1 billion was jumping up. Who was to get the money? Is it the government or is it the OAS? Yeah. Who the government claimed had abandoned the project.
The then contractor.
Dr. Rowley invited us into a meeting with Rohanson and the Minister of Works. He was a new Minister of Works. And they gave us an undertaking that they would first consult with us before deciding to do any work. Mm-hmm. Because they needed to do that to further the course to get the $1 billion. They got their $1 billion to continue works San Fernando to Point Forte, which we don't have any problem with. Our problem is David to Montezeri, and then they ditched us. So they betrayed us. I don't speak because of what I read in newspapers. I speak for what happens to me personally. He has flagrantly deceived the people of the HRM, poor people, decent people with homes, with communities, with resources, and they cannot get very far with that kind of attitude. And it's the same thing with the last government, they did it. So I voted for the PNM, and I'm very upset that Dr. Rowley has done that. He's become a very deceptive individual. He mothballed Petrotrin on a poor excuse, sidelined the union, and giving a whole lot of excuses. He let Mr. Malcolm Jones off the hook when there was $1 billion charge facing him, and he cannot vindicate himself on that matter. And therefore that he nor the other one, the former Prime Minister Kamala Processor, have the capacity or the integrity to introduce those large strategic changes. And I will talk to about those changes if you wish, but I just want to stop there now. I just want to register my complete dissatisfaction with the upper hierarchy of both parties, and the people who they represent seem to not want to overthrow them, move them, change them, And therefore, the general population of Trinidad and Tobago have a dilemma. We're living in a dilemma. What are we going to do?
Yeah.
And there are very serious problems facing us in health, transportation, income, education, and crime. And we're not really making any strategic interventions to resolve this. So I'm a little bit upset because I voted for Dr. Rowley. I asked the HRMP to vote for him, and he's betrayed us. I feel very unhappy for him as a leader that he has done that to us. Of course, poor Mrs. Sinan has to follow
What has been happening to the people who were removed from some of the houses down there?
Well, very few of them have been removed from David to Montezuma.
Yeah.
But we have kept our integrity, our communities and our houses intact. But the others have gone to occupy other places. Some of them have been given part payment for their homes, and they're renting, and the government hasn't been able to afford them the rent to live in those buildings. So again, the whole thing is messy because it started. If I want to appear before the commission, I want to write the president and ask her to appear before the commission, because it's not simply a question of compensation and relocation issues. The whole project was flawed, fatally flawed from the beginning. It was corrupt from the beginning, starting with the PNM government and Colin Imbert. He interfered in the certification process. So it's not just one issue. That's why I'm saying that Marlene McDonald is just a diversion. This Commission of Inquiry is just a diversion. The whole thing from certification to conception to the collapse was flawed. And I want to present the scientific evidence before the committee to show that the governments are not following process, science, and they're just following corruption on a massive scale. That's it. That's why I'm so upset this morning. Okay. Sorry to be upset. Mr. Duke? Where is he? Mr. Duke is a great man. I like him. He has a spirit. He has the
drive.
He drives, and he gets involved. He's unafraid. He puts his bullhorn and he goes down the road and he talks and he goes to the buildings. That's the kind of man we need. But we need to make sure he has the right ideas.
Yeah. But you don't seem upset this morning, though. So you have a good way of presenting yourself. You know, nobody would ever guess that all this is happening there. And first of all,
excuse me, madam. I have 11 charges facing me in the courts. 11 charges, imagine that. I have a matter in Siparia, I have a matter with other HR members, I have a matter in San Fernando against the government.
And yet you're so well composed.
2 matters. That's how I am.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you face death, through a hunger strike, nothing could challenge you again, and you're cool. Through the others, through the corn.
When you look back at, I just want to touch on the hunger strike a little bit. When you look back at your hunger strike, do you ever regret it?
No, I don't. Because the Prime Minister told the people, the then Prime Minister, come back, no highway, no byway. And the UNC people voted for that Prime Minister. And as soon as she came in, she got Jack Warner to sign the contract and build highway. And then I wanted to go with science. I went on a hunger strike. I said, okay, we have a dispute. You say it's very good.
Yeah.
I say it's not good. Let us get the scientists to decide. The scientists intervened in the hunger strike, Dr. Armstrong, 21 scientists. They produced a report. They say highway not good because of these reasons. And they gave all the reasons. She wouldn't abide with it. She paid $1 million for that report, and she just dissed it. So that's why I'm so upset with Dr. Rowley, because he seemed to be following the same path. We met with him twice. I thought he would have taken an advanced and a progressive position, but he's going down the same pathway, joining the contractocracy, betraying the people.
Yeah.
So, what was the question again? Sorry.
No, I just
I have no regret. So, it shows me that deceit is a very important word here.
Yeah.
Fooling the people. It's a legal term. In legal, it's something called deceit. When Ramesh Lawrence Maharaj was Attorney General, he introduced a body of laws called the Judicial Review Act, and you can challenge the decision of any public officer, Prime Minister, etc. And that's what we're doing in court now, challenging those decisions. But there is part of the act which talks about deception on the part of a public officer. If a public officer acts with deception and lack of faith, and loss of faith and good faith, you can bring them to court. It's a very powerful legal term. If your judiciary should take it seriously, we'll be in a good spot.
Yeah. But knowing that your cause would have been something that you stood by from How many days was your hunger strike again?
The first one was 21.
21, yeah.
But it wasn't, when I say I went in the hospital, I came out back like a
Yes.
drips. I didn't do it out in
Yeah.
That's what they call IV and so on.
Yeah.
The second one was a very long one when at the very early stage, I couldn't make it anymore. I was going to die, I was going to dead. I was thinking about my son and my books and my work and my wife and so on, and I started taking small amounts of nutrition.
And how's your health from since then to now?
Well, I can't really walk about too well, and I have some problems, but that's cool.
And the reason I'm asking is because you would have done all of this, and yet you're now being deceived.
Well, that is the point. Thank you for bringing it up. You met with Dr. Rowley. That's the man who came out on the street to see me.
I remember that.
I got hugged up. Is this Marley McDonald? Oh,
Yes,
no, not McDonald. She didn't hug me.
No.
Kabir Robinson, really, she hugged me up and almost kissed her. She commented a nice earring that she was looking real lovely. And you know, they quoted me as I was a champion of the people.
Yeah.
And then they go behind our backs and they press. But you have to bring them to court, a judiciary which is moving very slowly, and which is very weak. Dr. Rowley is right, the judiciary is very weak. It just delays and delays and delays matter and doesn't take strong positions against the government and obey the law. I say that.
Yeah.
Yeah? Anyhow, where were we again? I went down
No,
on a
we
tangent.
were just talking about your hunger
That's right.
strike.
After
And
going through all of that, and you know,
Yes.
the people themselves were in this matter since 2004. They were fighting the government since 2004. I just came in 2011. About 4 or 5 people died in 2016.
Oh,
2 of them are facing imminent death because they're so long in this thing. Frustration.
yeah. But how do you now, considering your health and all that, going forward?
You know, I have written a lot of books. I've written about 40 books, and I'm trying to get them out there before I kick the bucket. But I wouldn't really be too optimistic that I will kick the bucket soon. I want to live until 80, and I want to introduce Mr. Duke and my trade union colleagues to these large strategic plans I have, a manifesto, so that when they go up there, they wouldn't do the same thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So we talk about those if you wish later.
Yeah. You know, it's funny that you make mention of it, government come, government go, and it's the same sort of agenda. You know, you come in, you give promises, and then nothing is really delivered.
Because they can't deliver. Because they don't have the ideas.
You said something very important earlier on, the moral capacity.
Yeah.
And to me, that is something that has been lacking, not just from the government's end, but in society as a whole. When you look and you really observe how people go about doing things, it makes you question, do people even have morals anymore?
Well, that's why you need a new team. You need a new team of some of the older folk who've been here for some time. And you need a team of, look at those young, beautiful people there. Some of those young, beautiful people. And what the first thing that the government has to do in taking a new office and a new dispensation, you have to ensure that you have systems of equity in place. Systems of equity. So we don't have to bribe the contractors to get things done, or the contractors don't have to bribe the government to get things done. You don't have to bribe a licensing officer. You have to fix your health system. You have to fix your police. The police in such a sad situation. Every day you have 2 or 3 crimes.
Yeah.
You have crimes against women, against children. You have crimes on the street. You have crimes on the high seas. You have crimes in public places. Crimes all over the world. That's why I'm very upset about these criminals in the higher echelons of the party. They're criminals too.
Yeah.
They jump on your boat and instead of, okay boy, let me share the fish now boy. Let me help you catch some fish, they cut your throat. So it's the same kind of thing. And they have to introduce systems of equity in all of these public services for the people. And they have to introduce large, resounding changes in water, health, transportation, and so on. And if you do not have the moral integrity, you cannot handle equity. I know Mr. Duke likes to talk about equality. Mr. Duke can't give nobody equality at all. No Abdullah or Roger, whoever it is, my good friends who I love. They can't give people equality. What they have to do is create systems of equity and act with integrity. And then people will follow. Trinidadians can, and they will follow, you know. And of course there are other things, but I'll just stop there.
But with integrity comes, well, lack of integrity comes into play. The issue of transparency, and we've seen that being, you know, something that, again, is lacking from not just the government, but from past governments as well.
Well, you can't afford to be transparent if you're corrupt.
Yeah.
If you're corrupt, your agenda is to hide, to deceive, to put Miss Marlene McDonald in front when you corrupt. That's a diversion, that's a distraction, that's smoothing over the contradictions. The contradictions are there, it's all there. Why you want to build highway in these country areas and you have all this traffic, people killing people every day?
Yeah.
Gas, foreign exchange, little children coming into Port of Spain every day, going back, you know how tired it is? Traffic, traffic, traffic. And we're going there really long, the coconut shell and talking about Marlene McDonald. That is not the issue. Deal with traffic, deal with what the police, deal with all these strategic issues, deal with WASA, deal with TNTech. We need, for example, to take $1 billion and buy solar panels and give it to the poorest communities in Trinidad and Tobago, make sure they know how to use it so that they detach themselves from TNTech.
Yeah.
And gradually we'll have an industry, solar, protonic and photonic industry, and they'll use the batteries, and that is how we do. You need that. You need to take $1 billion and invest it in a transportation system, for a train system, diversified transportation system. So those are the ideas I'm talking about. Large strategic investment. You need to have water falling. Oh gosh, water falling all the time. Water falling off my roof. Water falling. But we have water shortage in the pipe. We're not collecting water. We're letting the water run off in drains and into the sea and creating flood. You need 5 or 6 dams along the foothills of the northern ridge, on the Caroni Plain, so you have empty land, it's not crowded up yet, they haven't taken it for a mall yet. And you need large reserves there for the dry season, for agriculture, a horticultural revolution. So I hope Mr. Duke listen to this.
Yeah.
I hope Mr. Abdul listen to this. I hope Rosia listen to this. I hope Ramesh Lawrence Morale listen to this. I hope Mr. Chaitu listen to this.
Yes.
I'm the man with the ideas.
Some sound advice there.
Yeah. And if they don't want to do it, I will get myself in order and do it. Don't slack, boys. Do your work. The working classes are going to suffer a lot, you know.
Yeah.
And the unions would not
And
be able to
I mean,
help
they
them
have been
unless
suffering.
you have these large economic transformations of Trinidad and Tobago. Education in particular, training our young children. We have to relearn technology, sports, culture. That's what we do best.
Yeah.
Sports, culture, technology, reading, writing. That's all you need.
And speaking
A
of
child is a child. It is a granddaughter. We were talking
yeah.
about that. At age 7, she should be able to take this thing, that man, and put it together and fix it back, and she will enjoy doing this. That's what you call technology.
yeah.
Sorry, talking too much.
No, that's fine. That's fine. Speaking about education, now yesterday was International Youth Day, and the theme for this year was transforming education. So, like you rightly said, you know, I think it's time we stop playing catch up and we actually start doing what we're supposed to do in order to reach where we want to be, and not just, you know, talk and talk and talk. But like you rightly said, technology plays a critical part in every society.
Yeah.
And I think it's time that we...
Yeah, what we do is that we wait until the child is 12 to teen or graduate from secondary school, and they say, okay, go to the schools.
Yeah.
You should be doing that in the schools. At the primary school, all the primary schools in Trinidad and Tobago should be prestige schools. You should be teaching technology, sports, culture, reading, writing.
Yeah.
Photonics, whatever, internet and so on, okay? That is why you teach your children. That is why you know if a man can run 100 meters in under 11 seconds at the primary school. You don't wait until they go to America and come back. How do you think Cuba reached so far? How do you think Jamaica reached so far? They start with very serious programs of sports at the primary school. How do you think China reached so far? Chinese children taking this apart at the age of 9. They teach technology, they teach real technology. Now we don't have the resources to put this together or to build a ship to go to Tobago. You understand? But we could take a ship and we could take it apart and see how it's built.
Yeah.
You understand? And children learn things. They just learn. You shouldn't. You put them this show to show these guys running the 4x400 meters at the World Championship. That's all they need to see.
Start grooming them from an early age.
Yeah. So that's we need that re-education and retraining of our people. Otherwise, they will all end up having to jump up on a boat, go down the road, look to see who they could rob, chop them up, clean them up, and go back home and laugh.
And that's the sad state of our country right now.
And it's throughout. It's throughout. The educated classes and the middle classes have been complicit in it. Instead of revolting, they're going as normal. I'm like, I'm normal.
Do you think?
Dear.
Do you think that we somehow or the other we don't understand how important our role is in society?
Well, we've been bought out. We understand. Everybody is alarmed, just like me. Everybody knows what I'm saying, and I'm not saying anything new. Probably some of the ideas I have for transformation are new. But you have your mortgage to pay, you have the husband to see about, you have your traffic to do, you have your children to see about, you have your... So these things keep you back. You cannot be revolutionary and radical and progressive if you're part of the system, of the status quo.
Yeah.
You're sold into the status quo, you're sold into the system, and you can't jump out of it. So it's a new plantation structure. And that's why I'm so poor. I keep myself poor deliberately. Ask Mr. Chaiti what kind of car I have. 22 years and I haven't changed it. I have an old phone. Boy, it's not even my phone anymore. Look at it. Look at this thing. I deliberately keep myself poor, sacrificing, because I don't want to be part of the structure where I cannot independently voice my views and articulate my positions. I have no allegiance to anyone except the people of Trinidad and Tobago.
Interesting. And in case you're now joining us here on PSA TV, this is the Wake Up Call here. On set, I've got with me activist and writer, Dr. Wayne Kublalsingh. We're going to toss a really short break and come back with more. Stay with us. And welcome back to PSA TV. This is the Wake Up Call. On set, I've got with me activist and writer, just a few of the many hats he wears, Dr. Wayne Kublalsingh. And before we went to news, we were talking about some of the major issues affecting not only you and I, but the country as a whole, and some measures which those in authority can use to, you know, avoid the repetition of these things in years to come. So hopefully this conversation does not fall on deaf ears this morning. Just to go back a bit about, you know, if you look at every newspaper this morning, you'd obviously see pictures or a story or a headline, something alluding to the fact of corruption. In your opinion, what can we do to, you know, decrease the prevalence of corruption in this country and in higher authorities, as a matter of fact? Where does it start?
Well, it starts...
Or can we even do it?
Yes, you can, but you see, you need the right team. One other person whom I like a lot is Ramesh Lawrence Maraj. Not only did he introduce some very progressive legislation on behalf of the people, the Judicial Review Act, the Freedom of Information Act, all of these systems which were encouraging transparency, equity, and so on. He also took the step one Tuesday morning to get rid of these drug laws in one fell swoop.
Yeah.
And had the courage to do it. So you need a team of persons who are serious. And if you're serious, tomorrow morning you will go and arrest the two big fish. And everything starts from that. Mm-hmm. You have to start, you see Mrs. Marlene McDonald? She's not a big fish. The political hierarchy of each party, they have their big fishes who support them, who they support, and who are within the party. She's not a big fish. She's an amusement, she's a diversion. All right, poor woman, you know, just come down with a ton of bricks on her. Well, the police have to do the job, fine, they have to do those things. But if Dr. Rowley is serious, instead of talking about this and that and political parties, about who say that and what the PSA say or what the Law Association say and who like who and who don't like who, arrest the big fish. Show you can do something. Show that you're doing something meaningful. Mm-hmm. Because we have headed into a subsidiary economic culture called the drug culture. And if people are wondering how everybody say, oh, we're poor, the government have money, but we still driving cars. Because you have an underground official economy called the drug economy, because the Americans want the weed and the pot and the cocaine. Mm-hmm. They're a very fragmented society, they're a very disillusioned society. The young people want it, and they're going to get it from South America, where transshipment point, and we get a cut. Jamaica get the cut. That's where it starts from. So you have to make a serious intervention in the drug trade. Stand up against it. Don't rely on Mr. Griffith. Mr. Griffith trying his best with that overburdened police force. Tomorrow is murder, next day is murder. All these crimes I just said. But if the Prime Minister doesn't stand up and take a stand, I'm shouting. Take a stand, a very serious stand against drugs, a very visible stand. He has to personally get involved in that war against the drug lords. It starts from there. We're not going to deal with this matter at all, because everybody gets inflicted. The judiciary gets compromised, the public servant gets compromised, the officials get compromised, the shopkeeper gets compromised, everybody gets compromised. Everybody gets a hit. Everybody takes a hit in the drug trade. They're the losers because drug people don't go to the police to resolve their problems. They go to guns and deal with it themselves. They use excess money to buy out people. That's how they do it. That's the status quo.
Yeah.
So if you're not prepared to deal with it, and if you just rely on Mr. Griffith to do with it, you can't get very far there, boss. You have to deal with it as the Prime Minister. Take charge. Arrest the two big fish. There are other things to long-term intervention, as I said, education, because we need a new breed of citizen.
Yeah.
You know, a new breed of citizen. You know,
I think we've
people
been
over 40, you
recycling.
can't, sorry.
No, we've been
Sorry, but you can't you know, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, well, so, he needs to stand up and just don't say, you deal with that, don't delegate it. That is one thing, you can't delegate it. You can delegate local government to somebody in Chatham, you deal with that issue, but drug trade, you have to deal with it head, front, and shoulder, like the president of Philippines is dealing with it, deal with it.
When you look at crime itself, what do you think contributes to the crime rate in our country?
Well, I think it's a failure of leadership. When you have leaders, people see leaders who are slack and who are arrogant and who are corrupt, they tend to believe that they could do anything. Yeah. And the amount of crimes in Trinidad and Tobago is astounding. Many of them don't go reported. The amount of rapes, incest, the amount of spoil theft per day last week, a huge array of crimes. And the way of solving that is to have local government reform. You need 43 prime ministers, as it were, in each constituency, 43 constituency chiefs who will take charge and give him the responsibility, or her the responsibility. And there are not many people who can do that. We have people who are very powerful. I've seen them in the magistrates' court, I've seen them in the police service, who can take charge of a constituency and resolve all of these issues, land dispute issues, criminal issues, cutlass issue, worker issue, stupid man issue, all these little issues which occur, because crime occurs in communities.
Yes.
All from that everybody belongs to a community. And you need to have a jefe in your community to deal with those things too. And he needs to know everybody, every house, everybody who is vulnerable to crime. All police, all businessmen. He needs to know everything in his community and you have to deal with it. So I have solutions. You know, I have solutions.
What are some of your solutions? Or you don't want to let the cat out the bag?
Strategic interventions.
Okay, your street,
okay?
Right.
You need to have a very powerful system of local government reform. Where Dr. Rowley doesn't have to deal with all those little issues.
Yeah.
Okay? Or the water, so on this one. Outing fires, you have your very strong chiefs, caciques, and they manage that for you. So your boss, what happened? I see a lady with a false seat fall on the drain this morning. Nobody pick it up. You didn't pick it up? Go and pick it up right now. He's dealing with that. But the big fish, he has to deal with. Economic transformation, he has to deal with. He needs to free up himself for these issues. Marlene Miss McDonald is a small fish. She wanted to just make ends meet and she just have some expectations that she could be a little wealthier and she's doing these things, right? But she's not the issue. She's not the problem. She's not the problem at all.
So you're saying that to deal with corruption, we must first attack the big fish.
Well, the major issue is crime. And crime is fueled. The gun trade is fueled by the drug trade. You know, you need drugs to run your crime.
Yeah.
All right? You need, for example, all these vans going up and down the road, you know, going with these criminals, and they go, adjourn. All these small men going to court and getting adjourned. Build your courthouses next to the jail, and let retired people come and, you see, the judiciary has become very lax. We have a matter in court since 2012, 7 years now. They haven't decided on it yet. The matter in which we are involved in, adjourned.
Why is that?
Because the judiciary tends to be very lax. They tend to support the government, and small people like us, they don't. All right? And they tend to be very conservative. And there are very few strong justices who really apply the law. You know, and the lawyers take advantage of the system. They take advantage of the system. So, judiciary needs to be transformed. Prison reform, administrative reform, government reform. You can't rely on the police to do all your dirty work.
Yeah.
You put on a lot of hard work on the police. The police can't solve all of those things. You put Mr. Gary Griffith in a difficult spot. As I said, so many different. Not the best police service in the world can't resolve those issues.
So your suggestion to the our justice system and the fact that so many cases are taken so long to be heard is to build the courthouse closer to the jail.
Well, that's one thing. That's for prison reform, because
Right.
you see, you can't have these prisoners going up and down the road and then a jail. And then you have to get rid of remand yard, clean out remand yard. These fellas, a little bit of weed you're putting them there. What kind of stupidness in that? You steal a worker. Put a man to work for 10 days and then let him go, something like that. You can't be crowding up the system and we're paying for it. Deal with the big guns, Clean up the prison system to deal with the big people, the people who are real serious threats to our society and to its peace and stability. But you need to do that. You have to say it. You have to say it. You have to approach the matter in a very aggressive manner. You can't just delegate to Gary. Gary can't solve that.
Yeah.
Because he has an instrument they call the police service, which simply cannot handle all the garbage you're throwing at them. They can't. It's impossible.
And that's just one aspect of crime. Of course, we have white-collar crime.
Yeah, well, we talked about it a lot before. When I started this program, I talk a lot about it. The four horsemen of the apocalypse, and I will name them in the UNC. Kabla Bisasa, Rudal Munila, Suraj Rambachan, and there's one more, Jack Warner. All of those people who control the status quo. Those are serious people who are seriously involved in corruption. I say it publicly, okay? And you can challenge me on that. I'll tell you how. And in the current government, there are 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, and Dr. Rowley is at the head of it.
And who are the others?
Well, I can speak from personal experience. I'm not dealing with large issues which I heard in the newspaper. Colin in Birth, Dr. Keith Rowley, the Minister of Energy, Franklin Khan. I forget there, Dr. Keith Rowley, that's 3. There's one more, can't remember. Faris Alwari, I'm not sure, he's just a follower. Those are the ones who rule the system. I speak from personal experience, personal experience. I went to the Joint Select Commission of Inquiry into the collapsed highway.
Yeah.
So we went here and the whole, we have 25 charges, 25 allegations of corruption. So I want to be given a chance to appear at that Commission of Inquiry. I want to make an input, and I want to show the commissioners that this is what you're dealing with. It's just one small part of a large attempt to hoodwink the people of treasury money and their finances.
When do you plan to write them?
Well, Mr. Chaitu advised me to, but I'll write them this week, and I'll present the letter to the President this week. I hope I get a chance to present. If I don't get to present, then I'll present it at the press conference. All that I know, I'm valuable to them in that respect.
Dr. Kublalsingh, we are slowly approaching independence.
Independence what?
Independence Day.
Oh, Independence Day, okay, sorry.
Yes.
You got me confused there. I thought you were talking about independence.
Independence Day. Your thoughts on the current state of our country? How far have we reached? Are you happy?
Well, I'm happy that the young people are achieving a lot. If you look at the music, since independence, wow, beautiful music. Beautiful young people producing music, all kind of different music in Parang, in Chutney. You see these little children in Parang and they go and they sing such beautiful music, and the teachers and the parents and so on. If you look at the sportsmen, Sedeno and the others, Ms. Ahi, wonderful performances in sports and culture. That's where we seem to seize the world. We can do things, and without government support, we do it. We do it without government support. So in those, in song and dance and music and culture and in the arts, all of those things which appeal to the soul, Marshall Montano, it appeals to the soul, Black Stallion appeals to the soul, Chutney appeals to the soul, we've done very well, okay? In terms of trade and business and so on, we have a plethora of all the ethnic groups involved in different kinds of trade, so we are keeping the economy alive. In terms of governance, getting a team of people to manage and to have a vision to take the society forward to genuine independence, we haven't done that. So what we find is we have the replacement of the master-slave relationship, post-colonial system of slavery, where you went to the master take care of you. You're still going to the master to take care of us. You're still going to the master to take care of us. You have to stop that. That must stop. You have to become independent of master. That's why we need a protonic and a photonic revolution to make us, and that's technology, skills, knowledge to make us independent once and for all of masses. So whether Dr. Rowley does so and so, or whether Kamala does so and so, that's tangential. We have our own fully functioning, involved communities, and we will do very well. So as a people, I think we have done a lot good, beautiful stuff in the arts and culture, all the ethnicities being part of that process. But we haven't gotten our politics or government right. The quote, Mr. Gutman, never did quote Mr. Dukran, getting our politics right.
When you look at the tourism industry, for instance, do you think that we've tapped into it fully?
Absolutely not. Not at all. I think crime is a big problem, a great issue. You know, once you have crime, how do you have tourism? But Trinidad is a very beautiful place. When I was in the hunger strike, Mr. Peter Binchel came and he said, Trinidad is a work of art. So what? Trinidad is a work of art. He's right, Trinidad is a work of art. So people should come and witness this work of art every day. You see? And then we have such beautiful cultures. We have all kind of Indian culture. We have such a plethora of wedding and music and drum and color, and so the African culture and Chinese culture, if they're given a chance, and Syrian culture, who we sort of silent and put in the corner there. So the Syrians afraid to express themselves because somebody going to attack them as 1%. But the Syrian culture, British Middle Eastern culture, have beautiful food, beautiful music which they express, you know. And all of these small groups, Chinese culture too, plethora of beautiful ethnic cultures, which we need to celebrate and encourage more. And all of that is part of tourism, not just the sand.
Yeah.
And we have beautiful wildlife. When the Caroni was shut down, I presented a beautiful plan to the government for economic diversification of Trinidad and Tobago, using 77,000 acres of land and all Caroni assets. Of course, they wanted smelter, and Dr. Rowley wanted smelter, and they just lose on that. They just lost plenty. We still talk about smelter. Bad ideas again, you know?
Yeah.
We shut down all of that. But since then, a lot of the land, trees have grown up, and the birds have come back, and some of the butterflies have come back. So we're a very, very beautiful place for bird watching. These are niche industries. We have a very beautiful place for chocolate. We have the chocolate manufacturers in the Central Range, for example. Little things, all of these things are very, very important. You know, it's not just the sun and the sea and the hotel. Beautiful niches.
And not just for around Carnival only, because I think that too much emphasis is, I'm not saying that we should not market Carnival, but there are so many other things, like you rightly say, during the year that takes place in our country that it's marketable, and it's things that we could tap into to market our country.
Yeah, all the festivals, not just Carnival is just one festival, but there are many festivals, you know. Which people just come and see, come and have a look, you know, who we are, you know.
Yeah.
And that will discourage criminality too, because it brings in the foreign exchange. And when you have tourists and so on, the government becomes more serious about criminality, and the people themselves become serious about criminality. You know, when you have people coming and seeing what you do, what you're making, showing them, carrying them up alive and chill.
Yeah.
We haven't talked about sports, but we need to go into some of these disadvantaged communities, and we need to put down a whole lot of sporting infrastructure. Whole of the sporting infrastructure.
When you look at the fact that, you know, there are so many ills in this country, yet there's so much to celebrate. What are your goals, or what do you hope to achieve, you know, for this country?
Well, I've done a lot of stuff people don't know about, and they don't know who I am. They don't know that I presented a large document to the government for economic transformation in 2002, which the government under Mr. Banning rejected and went for smelter. They don't know that I was involved in about 8 battles between Chatham and Watahiti and Claxton Bay and Claxton Bay Port and Savonetta and so on, against all of these heavy gas-based industries, which thank God we didn't build, we didn't have the gas for. They don't know that. They still think I'm against the highway. We don't want to stop any highway. We want to route David to Mount Desir. So he brought back a sense of science and process to something which had gone corrupt, and I was ignored because the people don't like science and process when they're doing corruption. Many things. I'm in the process of publishing 40 of my books, most of them for children on the internet. But that is not what I hope to achieve. I'm now beginning, you know, since 2002. I want to get Mr. Duke. Tell him this for me. I haven't seen him for a while. How is he?
It's good.
and representatives of the working class like Mr. Abdullah. I'd get them talking now with the other segments of society now, the trading societies and the university culture and all the other cultures and people trying to make it to form a new dispensation now. People like the legal fraternity like Mr. Mirage and the economic fraternity, Mr. American and so on. To sit down and start thinking about these ideas because we need a new impetus for society to regenerate the society and revolutionize the society. So I hope in some way I can be a catalyst for that. And if I cannot be a catalyst for that, I have to take the leadership, I have to take the leadership at some point in time. Because I can't let all this work that we have done go down the drain.
Yeah.
Because if you relax in the struggle, if you're in a boxing match and you relax, somebody's going to hit you uppercut, and sprawl you down on the floor. So you have to keep on fighting, and you have to keep the impetus going. And it's very good that Macandal Daga, they withdrew from the Black Power Revolution. They shouldn't have withdrawn. They went into this culture and so on. They should have kept on fighting. That's one of the lessons I learned.
Why do you say that?
Well, what happened is that Williams came down after 70 very hard on them with police and boroughs, started to mash up their property and kill them and shoot them and antagonize them and distress them and so on. And they kind of ran away. They ran away into politics. One of them joined the UNC, for example. Terrible thing. They ran away into social work. That is not the revolution. The revolution is hit the system hard and throw it over and take charge and impose a good agenda for the people of Trinidad and Tobago, the agenda I'm talking about. So, how did I get there again? So, one lesson that Mr. Macandal Daga has taught us, and Kafra Gamboni, is culture. He's in the culture and emancipation. Oh, goodness gracious, you can't give people emancipation by talking about it, you have to do it. I mean, it's good, it's good. But that's the way he came to, that's where he reached in culture. But not culture in that sense. You have to make a broader political change in the political culture of Trinidad and Tobago, and you have to be upfront, and you have to be dynamic, and you have to take charge of it. Otherwise, all the good work that you did, Black Power and everything, you will lose it, sir. You will lose it. You lose Petrotrin. You're going to lose more.
And speaking about Petrotrin, we've recently seen a 10-member committee set up to review the refinery operations. Your thoughts on Petrotrin?
Dr. Rowley made a blunder. He shut down, he mothballed the thing. That's costing millions of dollars to get back. Grass growing up, the sheep eating in Petrotrin, people stealing out everything. You should have kept it at a low running. I told him, why are you shutting down the thing? Why did you sideline the union? The union is your biggest ally if you're in difficulty. Why did you let Mr. Malcolm Jones off the hook? Why do you interfere with it politically? What you going to investigate? The government corruption, Petrotrin, the board's corruption, Mr. Malcolm Jones' corruption? It implicates yourself. The government implicates itself. By establishing a commission of inquiry into competition, the government is implicating itself because they're the ones who boss the thing.
There has been a lot of rumors that an international company may soon take over the operations
That's
there.
what's going to happen, but I would like to see the figures. I would like to see the deal. What sweetheart deals they give them? Because to rescue Petrotrin, they need to give them big deals. And they're going to give them more deals than they would have given the trade union or if we had kept it running. The Minister of Finance says that Petrotrin is making plenty of money now. I would like to see the figures. I would like to see the costs of making that money.
You know, it's very funny. Before Petrotrin closed down, they said it was operating at a loss. But with one name change, it's, you know, suddenly making a big profit.
So if it was making a profit then, why can't it make a profit now and not producing? Why couldn't it make a profit? Why couldn't it make a profit then? Why isn't it making a profit now? It's
a name change. It's a name change. One name change did that. I'm convinced.
What he's doing, he's buying and selling oil, and he's adding and minusing the finances, but he's not taking into consideration the economic costs of the shutdown. So I would like to see the deal this international person is getting. What is the deal? Because you have to offer him a very good deal for him to take it and make money from it.
Yeah.
You know, and we are the ones who are going to suffer the financial and economic costs of that deal. So whoever is the people who they're looking to buy it, they better make sure that they're not crooks because they're going to give away a patrimony for a deal to make the government look good. Sorry to talk like that, but that's the way it is.
No,
I mean, I have to start talking now.
Yeah. Do you see any other hope in the oil and gas industry?
Yes, the oil and gas of the future is in the sun. That's what oil and gas is. Human beings made a mistake by going into the fuels economy and the, well, we can't resolve that, but you should have gone directly to, we didn't know that. That's the future. The oil and gas economy. We produce, if we produce 1 unit of oil, Qatar produces 1 million units of oil. We have no future in the oil and gas industry. We're no longer competitive in the global market in the oil and gas industry. We have a little change to pay the public servants and the PSA, but beyond that, we have nothing to get. All right? So therefore, you have to move now to re-diversify the economy. Yeah? In line with what other people are doing. Germany is doing it, China is doing it, India is doing it, Barbados is doing it. You have to get into protonics
you said
and
re-diversify. What do you mean re-diversify?
Well, you talk about diversification all the time and you haven't been doing it, so we have to re-diversify, diversify.
Okay, because I mean, we've heard so much about diversification, but you've never really seen
Dr.
it.
Rowley said on the platform, I am going to the eastern seaboard. I'm a farmer. I'm Tobago. I know farming. And I'm going to revolutionize with agriculture the whole of the eastern seaboard. Have you ever seen him on the eastern seaboard revolutionizing agriculture? It would have been good if you had done it. Coconut, buffalo, goat, cocoa, all those things you could revolutionize the eastern seaboard. Is he doing that? Talking about Marlene McDonald.
We often overlook agriculture in our society. How much do you think should be done to possibly, make people more aware of the importance of agriculture?
I think people know, but I think that what is happening is that if you sit down outside now sometimes and look at the people passing and just try to assess the state of the health of the people. Sit down at the mall, look at the people passing, see if you could assess the state of the health of the children, the young men and the young women. We have been hooked on a pharmaceutical culture. We've become hooked on sugars and starches and salts and junk food and KFC, etc., including myself sometimes.
Yeah, I feel like you're talking directly to me.
And therefore, we need to have a horticultural revolution. We have 300 indigenous species in Trinidad and Tobago fruits. Each of our constituencies could focus on 5. You come and you pick fruit whole. We need to go back to fruit and indigenous crops and fruits and tree crops and root crops and so on. And Dr. Rowley has to do it because people will buy the imported stuff. That's how they are. They will go and buy the imported stuff. They like rituals and they love these things. That's culture. That's safety. That's beauty. That's like the sexuality and sensuousness. You go in rituals and you sip your coffee from these beautiful mugs. But fruits are beautiful too.
Yes.
He has to say it. He has to do it. He said he would do it. That's why I'm disappointed. He said he would follow a process of science, and the first word of his manifesto, we're going to follow science. You have to do things scientifically, otherwise it's just corruption and bacchanal.
Do you see it ending anytime soon, the corruption and bacchanal?
Yeah, when Mr. Duke leave the PSA and start to take an active agenda in the political life, and he joins with the rest of the people. Hopefully I'm part of it and they don't get rid of me because they don't like my ideas. Sometimes when I speak, the trade unions don't like me,
He's always welcomed your ideas, so I'm sure you will be part of it.
Yeah, when I speak sometimes, I don't always agree with the trade unions and they don't always see eye to eye with me, and sometimes when I talk, they don't agree with me. But I hope
I think that's human nature, though. Yeah. You can't agree with...
But importantly, we respect each other. That's important. And I think the trade union leaders, on the whole, they're persons of integrity and they do a very good job. Yeah?
All right. As we wrap things up, I'm going to ask you your closing comments. But before I do that, what is your hope for Trinidad as we approach Independence Day?
Well, I think people need to stop going to Massa for goods and services. They need to become independent of Massa government, and they need to get that into the system. Become independent of government, because Massa cannot any longer support you. They cannot. You have to fix yourself. An important part of that fixing is large-scale government projects or large-scale projects. As I said, it's protonic and photonic, solar panels, sports, education, horticulture, a whole range of different large-scale interventions to save Trinidad and Tobago and the rest of the Caribbean. So it's a shifted mentality. What did Bob Marley say? Old pirates, yes, they're robbed, sold I to the merchant ships. Minutes after they took I from the whatever. So she said, free yourselves from mental slavery. Sorry I couldn't complete the song.
It's all right.
That's my wish for independence. It's Bob Marley's wish. Free yourself from mental slavery.
Your closing comments.
That's my closing comment. That's the trend to Tobago. Have a beautiful day. The sun is still there, the flowers are there, the birds are there, the bees are there, and your children are there. To love your children, take care of them, put them on your lap, teach them to read, hug them up, talk to them all the time. That's your best possessions. Make sure to brush the teeth. Make sure they can run and jump. Don't protect them and just stay inside. Let them go out and play and take care of them. That's the best thing you could have your children. The parents have a beautiful role, a powerful role in developing independent children, independent minds. Don't protect them too much. Try to protect the children. Let them be free. Throw them in a big place there. You have big space for children. Just kill yourself with fighting and running and playing around, and then at the end of it, all you have to do is give them some lime juice and put them to bed.
The lime juice wouldn't give them a sugar rush, no?
Well, of course, you have to make sure to brush the teeth.
Dr. Kublalsingh, thank you so much. A very vibrant conversation this morning, very engaging as well. Thank you so much for coming on this morning.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much. And all the best to Mr. Duke and the PSA and your beautiful studio here. I hope that you all apply for a television license. I'm not sure I'm putting my mouth in the right place, and you get a television license and that you upgrade this to a whole full-fledged media unit for the PSA and for the working classes.
Thank you so much, and I'm sure he will appreciate your kind words of advice there. So we're going to toss to a really short break right now and come back with more. Stay with us.